Hi, welcome. On this video, I want to continue to respond to the recent video put out by social media dog trainer. Goes by the name of Zach George, very popular on social media. And the title of this video is, again, if I'm wrong, tell me why. Well, I'm going to continue to respond here um, and tell not just Zach George, but anyone who encounters Zach George exactly why he's wrong when it comes to this idea that he has put out in the dog training community for many, many years. Again, you're seeing, and again, this is one of the kind of takeaways from these videos, is you're seeing how, again, when you start to connect dots in terms of what's happening in the dog training world, you look at all the divisiveness, you look at all the problems that are happening between dogs and owners, dog owners who continue to struggle in the relationships with their dogs, even after investing time, money, and energy into this very problematic idea. And what's the idea? That training is a learning-based exercise once a relationship problem is already underway between the dog and the owner. And again, by way of using treats to bribe, okay, a dog to respond, while assuming that those responses can be trusted as representing that change is happening, or the perception of dogs are changing. And so again, you want to use that word bribe is based again on complete disregard or failure to connect dots by way of the fact that the dog owner is experiencing a relationship problem in the first place. That's why they're looking for help, and even common sense in terms of again of behavioral issues happening, and failing to consider in terms of dogs as social animals the role of the owner, the role of influence, and what even defines a process by way of a intervention. Again, this is why I talk about or use the parenting example often on my videos to help people connect some dots. Because here's the thing, when you look at just how common it is for people to, again, invest time, money, or energy in this idea, dogs moving around a training environment, you can look, fantastic. Okay, as they're doing a sit or a down or a stay or a come, you get your certificate, and then you leave there, you go back into the real world, you discover you're still dealing, nothing's changed. And just how common it is for these dogs to get blamed as though they're the problem. There must be something wrong with them. Versus, no, there's actually everything wrong with trainers such as Zach George who attempt to pass this off as science. And then again, this is the whole thing. I talk about trainers who are not incentivized to do the right thing with confronting the real issue because they're making lots of money off of this. I understand this, talk about dogs being devalued in the big lie in the dog training world with these trainers who pretend like they care about dogs. Well, that flies in the face of the reality of what's happening, based again on just how many dogs are being blamed. And you can connect this very easily. But again, if you carry this over to the parent example, it'll make complete sense. If you to do what these trainers are doing by way of a relationship problem between a parent and a selfish child, and again focus on response the way they're doing a very superficial way, and completely removing the parent out of the equation the right way, you should expect the very same things to be happening. Okay, by the way, again, yeah, a child can look great, pick up the toys motivated by a brand new Xbox game, and you can get some good responses that way. But it doesn't mean that the relationship's getting any better or the attitude of the child is changing based on, again, engaging in bribery. So again, bribery becomes bribery when you fail to consider the current state of the relationship and engage that way. So again, I want to play, again, a portion of this video. Again, just responding, but again, just look at all the inherent problems happening in the dog training world. The dog training world is a complete train wreck for a reason.
That in order to believe dog trainers out there who are telling you that aversives are sometimes necessary in animal training.
So right here, just stop it right there. This whole thing about aversives, understand that this is one of the narratives out there. Plays off people's emotions. Meant to incite people. And this would be no different than going to the parenting example if, by way of, permissive parenting being the standard and not being able to, apply any sort of control or discipline over your child. I talk about, the parenting style that is agreed upon by experts being the right parenting style, the authoritative parenting style, versus, authoritarian, over the top. That's not the one I'm talking about. Authoritative in terms of, being reasonable, boundaries, the role of the parent, versus what this ideology represents, permissive. So if you look at the permissive parenting dynamic, okay, you're going to see a lot of similarities here. Okay, even by way again of how these trainers talk. Okay, very permissive, very much trying to bring people into agreement with this. And again, I talk about all the collateral damage that's happening. So you understand that when they use certain words such as adversives, it's not in the right context. Okay, I talk about what does influence represent? Well, just like parental influence, how it happens by way of the parent example, by way of a parent who's engaged with or aligned with the right parenting style, who's interacting with the child in reasonable ways, to advocate properly. So here, understand everything's out of context because the whole foundation here, okay, is based on a bribery-based idea of things.
You need to disbelieve and discredit the world's most reputable behavior science organization. That is the bottom line.
So here he is. So again, he's trying to stand on, right, organizations that have come into agreement, okay, with this very corrupted idea as to what training is. Understand, and this is what I talk about. I've written books about this. Talk about how in terms of even academics, have completely failed in this regard. This goes right back to Skinner and Pavlov, behavioralism. You see the problems right from the very beginning. Dawes not being studied the right way based on what this social connection, the social aspect of the relationship represents. Never happened. So again, even though you hear guys like Zach George continue to try to elevate this up, just use common sense. Look at all the problems in the dog training world. So this is not science. It's a belief system. And it's not the first time, okay, that science or these individuals attempt to elevate an ideology up, try to apply, or align it with science, trying to suggest that it's trustworthy, can be tested. But here's the thing, too. I mean, science, okay, is supposed to be able to be put to the test, by way of observation. I find it interesting that these are the same trainers who aren't willing to do that, can't do it. That's why they go and look at the video content. They all look like infomercials for a reason. So again, and then when they do come out in the open, it's a mess. Okay, it's a disaster for a reason. Because like I said, my statement is it's impossible to showcase bribery. But again, it's interesting to me. They have the most to say on social media, but again, nothing to show. And then look at all the blame shifting on the dogs. So it's this type of duck and cover. And what they're doing here too, they're exploiting people. I mean, people come to them, they're like hoping. They really are. They're hoping that dog owners don't question anything. They just go along with what they're being told. And then when this doesn't line up, well, they're exploiting their emotions too. Because they know that, dog owners, generally love their dogs. They're not going to give up on their dogs. So they're going to put up with it. They're just going to keep going along with the narrative, keep supporting these individuals because they like them, right? And so again, all about exploitation. This has nothing to do with the truth. You understand? This is totally based on all of that. And so it goes. But again, you're seeing all the collateral damage. Look at all the problems in the dog training world.
That is what you have to believe in order to believe that these social media dog trainers who are advising you.
So you talk about social media dog trainers that are advising. He's like the biggest social media dog trainer of them all. Okay, understand that. He's written articles saying that his authority as a dog trainer comes from YouTube and social media. I mean, just the hypocrisy. So he's all about social media. You don't see him come out in the open in a very real way. This is why, again, he'll send people out in these protests. He's not out there, handling these dogs, aggressive dogs. Well, why is that? I find it very interesting.
Are right. You have to believe that they are right, and this international consensus has somehow missed something.
Well, talk about international, going on international. Listen, you can line a whole bunch of people up, and this is what's happening. Just because, something's popular or you're coming up against the majority doesn't represent the truth, especially here in this case. And this is where we're at. Understand, because everything's being exploited. Understand, these trainers are exploiting everything. It's totally out of control, totally corrupt, right to its core. And you're seeing it. And here's the challenge, okay? And here's the thing that's incredible. You hear these trainings keep going on, but they hope that you don't actually do your own investigation or kind of just take a look around the dog training world. And I go through it. All the breed-specific bans. Look at all the divisiveness happening. You look at increase in dog bites happening. And dogs, again, certain breeds being banned, but beyond that, all the problems in here, all the blame shifting on the dogs. Shelters. Full to capacity. Okay, you're seeing all of it. You're seeing all this back and forth between these two groups of trainers. Balanced and force free, but no clarity. Just more confusion. And meanwhile, guys like Zach George, of course, they want to try to control even more. That's why he keeps talking about a standard. Well, what type of standard do you think he's talking about? So it's not about the right thing here. Understand? Just like PETA. Destroying more dogs than they save. It's ideological, and this is no different.
So I want to be clear here. I think this clarifies my position a little bit because things get lost and misinterpreted out there a lot. And look, no shade, no hate to those who disagree with me or professional dog trainers who have a different perspective.
And he'll say this too. Don't believe a word he says. Understand, this is just, again, he wants to appear as though he's, trying to, basically just playing a game of, I just want to, get along here. I just want to, no. If you really pay attention to his words, he's totally ideologically sold out. That's it. Okay, this is all about, you talk about a force-free movement. You talk about this agenda. Okay, and again, we talk about all the blame shifting on the dogs. This is the agenda. And this is what it is. It's like a kind of a Trojan horse agenda too, in terms of taking advantage of all the confusion. Trying to, again, but look at all the inherent problems. Unbelievable.
I have often said that I think ego is and I include myself in this, a big problem amongst dog trainers.
Well, there's a very profound statement, because that's exactly what's going on here. So you talk about ego out of control in the dog training world, and I talk about this. I talk about the issue about a trade-off. Basically having enough humility, okay, and humbleness, right, to actually, and I said this about years ago, saying, well, you know what? Not even one dog, if there's something we're doing wrong as a human, not even one dog should be taking the hit because of some idea that we're putting out there that's causing a problem. Everything should stop. If we really truly have empathy for dogs. But see, that's not what's happened here. And so these trainers, if you just pay attention to their words, totally hypocritical, right? They're speaking on both sides of their mouth. This is a shell game. Okay, understand that's exactly what's going on. So all to say, okay, we talk about these trainers like Zach George. Pay attention to to what they say, but also do your own investigation here. The dog training world's coming apart at the seams. Meanwhile, these trainers, that's what they're doing. They're just trying. This is all agenda driven. This is nothing to do with dogs the right way. This has nothing to do with confronting the real issues in the dog training world. Because to do that would require a trade-off. Understand that. That's the bottom line here. These trainers aren't going to do that. They're not going to give up their belief system, right? Their ideology, because this is all about the human and not in a good way. Thanks for watching.